Welcome to Truth Quest, where we uncover hidden facts and reveal the realities shaping our world. Your journey to the truth begins here. Doctors hold one of the most trusted roles in society. They are healers, caretakers, and the people we turn to in our most vulnerable moments. But what happens when that trust is used as a weapon? Today, we delve into the chilling story of Harold Shipman, a respected family doctor who became one of the most prolific serial killers in history, responsible for over 200 deaths. How did a man sworn to save lives become a harbinger of death? This is the story of betrayal, manipulation, and the horrific abuse of power. This is the story of Dr. Harold Shipman. Harold Frederick Shipman was born on January 14, 1946, in Nottingham, England, to a working-class family. He was the middle of 3 children. Shipman had a close and complex relationship with his mother, Vera, who was known to be domineering and influential in his life. When she developed terminal lung cancer during Shipman's teenage years, he witnessed her receive morphine injections to ease her pain, which deeply impacted him. Watching how the powerful drug gave his mother relief in her final days is often considered a key event in understanding his later actions. Shipman was a bright student and pursued medicine, attending the Leeds School of Medicine, where he qualified as a doctor in 1970. He began his career in the medical field as a junior doctor before becoming a general practitioner, GP, at a practice in Todmorden, West Yorkshire. While Shipman initially appeared to be a dedicated and competent doctor, his career took a troubling turn early on. In 1975, he was caught forging prescriptions for the opioid painkiller pethidine, which he had been using for personal consumption. This addiction scandal led to a conviction for forgery, and Shipman was fined £600. He also briefly attended a drug rehabilitation program. Despite this serious misconduct, Shipman was allowed to return to medical practice just a few years later. By 1977, he had joined a new medical practice in Hyde, a small town near Manchester, where he would later carry out the majority of his murders. Shipman's killing spree began in earnest in the late 1970s and continued for over 2 decades. He primarily targeted elderly women, who made up the majority of his patients. The typical scenario involved Shipman visiting his victims in their homes or seeing them in his surgery under the pretense of routine medical checkups. In reality, he would administer lethal doses of diamorphine, a medical form of heroin, to his patients, often leaving them to die shortly after his visits. Shipman was highly methodical in his approach. He would frequently alter medical records to make it appear as though his victims had been suffering from terminal illnesses or other health complications, ensuring that their deaths would not raise suspicion. He also managed to avoid detection by targeting mostly elderly women, whose deaths were often assumed to be the result of natural causes due to their age. The main reason Harold Shipman was able to evade detection for so long was the high level of trust placed in him as a doctor. Doctors hold a revered position in society, and their judgments, particularly in the treatment and care of the elderly, are often unquestioned. Additionally, many of Shipman's victims were cremated, which destroyed any potential forensic evidence. Shipman was meticulous in covering his tracks. He would often visit his patients alone, ensuring there were no witnesses, and he would sometimes call emergency services himself after a patient had died, further enhancing his appearance as a caring and concerned doctor. His presence at the scene of so many deaths was rarely questioned. However, despite his careful planning, some colleagues and local undertakers began noticing a higher than usual number of deaths among Shipman's patients. There were whispers within the medical community about the unusually high mortality rate in his practice, but these concerns were not acted upon decisively for years. Harold Shipman's downfall began with the death of an 81-year-old widow named Kathleen Grundy. She was a well-known and well-loved figure in the community, and unlike many of Shipman's other victims, she was in excellent health. Grundy was found dead in her home in June 1998, shortly after a visit from Shipman. What made Kathleen Grundy's death stand out was a suspicious will, which left her entire estate, worth hundreds of thousands of pounds, to Shipman. Grundy's daughter, Angela Woodruff, a solicitor, was immediately suspicious. She knew her mother had no intention of leaving her fortune to Shipman, whom she barely knew outside of his role as her GP. Woodruff took her concerns to the police, and an investigation was launched. Grundy's body was exhumed, and toxicology tests revealed that she had died of a massive overdose of diamorphine, administered by Shipman. This led to the discovery of a forged will, which Shipman had created in an attempt to profit from her death. Following the discovery of Kathleen Grundy's murder, the police widened their investigation. As they dug deeper, they found evidence that Shipman had been altering medical records to hide his crimes. The scope of his killing spree began to unfold, and investigators began exhuming bodies of other patients who had died under Shipman's care. In many of these cases, toxicology reports revealed that the victims had also died from diamorphine overdoses. By the time of his arrest in September 1998, it was clear that Harold Shipman had been systematically murdering his patients for years. In total, he was charged with 15 counts of murder, but the actual number of victims was likely far higher. Harold Shipman's trial began on October 5, 1999, at Preston Crown Court. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence, including falsified medical records, forged documents, and witness testimony from colleagues and family members of the victims. One of the most shocking aspects of the trial was Shipman's complete lack of remorse. Throughout the proceedings, he remained calm and unemotional, refusing to admit guilt or offer any explanation for his actions. On January 31, 2000, Shipman was found guilty of 15 murders and 1 count of forgery, related to Kathleen Grundy's will. He was sentenced to life imprisonment with a recommendation that he never be released. After Shipman's conviction, a public inquiry was launched to investigate the full extent of his crimes. Led by Dame Janet Smith, the inquiry examined the records of over 500 of Shipman's former patients. The inquiry concluded that Shipman had likely killed at least 215 people between 1975 and 1998, although the true number may never be known. The Shipman inquiry also highlighted significant failings in the medical system that allowed Shipman to carry out his crimes undetected for so long. As a result of the inquiry, major reforms were implemented in the UK healthcare system to improve the monitoring of doctors and prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. On January 13, 2004, Harold Shipman was found dead in his cell at Wakefield Prison. He had hanged himself using bed sheets, just 1 day before his 58th birthday. His suicide brought mixed reactions. Some felt it was an act of cowardice that denied justice to the families of his victims, while others saw it as a fitting end to his monstrous life. Harold Shipman's crimes left a lasting impact on the UK and the medical profession as a whole. His actions shattered the trust between doctors and patients and led to widespread changes in the way doctors are monitored and regulated. Shipman's legacy is one of betrayal, manipulation, and unimaginable cruelty, and his name will forever be associated with one of the darkest chapters in modern medical history. Despite his death, the story of Harold Shipman serves as a sobering reminder of the potential for evil in even the most trusted figures. His case remains one of the most disturbing examples of how a person in a position of power can exploit that trust for horrific purposes. Harold Shipman's crimes not only robbed over 200 families of their loved ones but shattered the very foundation of trust between doctors and patients. His horrific actions left an indelible mark on the medical profession, forcing changes that still impact healthcare today. But even with the safeguards in place now, Shipman's legacy remains a reminder of how easily that trust can be exploited. Though Harold Shipman may be gone, the pain he caused lives on for the families of his victims, and his name will forever be associated with betrayal. The question that haunts us all is, how could such evil go unnoticed for so long? Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe as we continue to uncover the dark stories behind history's most disturbing figures. Until next time, stay safe, and never forget to question the world around you.